I don't think that I will get in trouble. I hope I don't. If I do, I apologize ahead of time. But a frog that can't croak in his own pond ain't much of a frog. And so, I too, I want to pigtail what Brother Rayburn said about the youth rally. And the preacher preached a phenomenal message. It was just, you could be seated this morning and I'm happy to know that God's got a generation coming that knows how to work hard, faithful, submitted. And when I look at all these kids up here Friday night, I went, Lord God, wouldn't Satan love to have them? And so we need to pray over our children and hope I don't get in trouble. But I appreciate my son that did that video. I'm like, boy, he'll be a professional one day. Done a good job. Brother Rayburn leading, doing a great job. And our youth just it just made me proud. And I was happy to know that all churches was represented in this building because it doesn't happen in every church. And I don't know why, honestly. I wish every church was represented in every youth rally. But for some reason, when it comes to this one, they all like to come here, most of them anyway. And I'm appreciative for that. And we didn't get there overnight. It took us 20 years to get there. And so we appreciate the faithfulness of our kids. So I want to give honor to our children. And so anyway, God's good. My voice is still toe up from the flow up. And I'm going to talk to you for a few moments and then let you go. And remember, next Friday, I have to leave next Friday. I will be in Eufaula, and I'll be back Monday. And I think we don't know for sure, but Blondie might be going with me. If not, she'll be here with you. And so uh, appreciate all the kind words when I'm gone. I thank you, but I feel that this is a necessity that I need to go. It's actually one of Bishop's men, and he felt like I needed to go, and he's actually going to go to one of my men this next weekend. So we're going to swap. And so I'm going to be with this church that I know nothing about, never been there. And I'm going to ask that you would be in prayer with me because I've already felt some things. And he has called a couple of times and we've talked. And so I want to ask you to, as my church, to bind with me and let's find the mind of God for this man of God and this woman of God. They've been there for quite some time. And they're like every other church. They're just struggling, just trying to. We all know what that's about, don't we? So our job is just to help one another. Nobody's bigger or better than nobody else. We're just trying to help somebody. And so please be and I'll probably give everybody a heads up on that and see what the Lord does. I'm going to miss you, but I'm going to also. I was supposed to be in Australia this week and preaching the Turn Up the Heat conference, me and the bishop, but because of the wedding, I couldn't go, and he had plans that he couldn't go. So they sent videos of them having church, and I'm like, I wish I could just pick up in the spirit and go there. And I missed them. I did feel this week a little bit of a tug to go back to Australia, probably in just the next short while. I don't know why, but I'm going to pray about it, talk to Bishop about it and see what happens there. Next May, I'm supposed to be back in Fiji. That's supposed to be already set in preaching and dedication to the building that we helped build. And so they've completed it. And so we're happy about that. I'm excited about that. Amen. So I'm not gonna bore you today. I'm gonna try not to. Uh, a lot going on in the world, but I want to talk to you in Second Kings chapter number 4, verse number 8. Everybody knows this story, and I've I've had some men in the church to that has personally, individually asked me about prayer, uh, about supporting me in prayer, and trying to connect with me in I guess as an armor bearer, whatever. But I'm praying about some of that stuff so we can maybe put something together. And I've already had one from out of state text this morning and say, for some reason, I feel like I need to pray for you this morning. And so I said, well, I need the prayer and you need to practice. So, so we are planning on putting some things together and making life happen. This is a tough subject today. Let's read. And it fell on the day that Elisha passed by Shunem, where was a great woman, and and she constrained him. We know who they're talking about, Elisha. They constrained him to eat bread, and so it was that as often as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. And so the story starts there. And you could be seated this morning so you don't have to stand much tonight or this morning. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I want to talk to you. I don't have any notes. I don't have a title. If I did have a title, I would probably, and I've not talked to anybody in the sound room of the media team, I would probably talk on a subject that I think that I have hit maybe years ago. I'm not for sure, but I want to take a little bit different approach to this because I can ask you a question. You would respond to me in a very positive and a very faith building way. But when reality sets in, we don't engage. Does that make any sense? And so this morning, it was crazy. I I laid down and went straight to sleep. I didn't even know the world was turning. And I got up this morning early before the clock and I felt a tug in my heart. And I got to church. And when I got here, I fell asleep. And I said, Lord, that's crazy. Why would I fall asleep? I'm supposed to be talking to you. And when I fell asleep, when I woke, it was just a second, just a second. And when my eyes popped open, my head was still, I wouldn't even lean back. I was still straight up. And this came to me. And I said, yes, sir. So we're going to talk about it today, can we? So let's talk about it. He's so faithful. If I had a subject today, I want to talk about something that we are all uncomfortable with. And it is 10:45, and I'll probably have you out of here in 30 minutes or an hour and a half, on expanding. No, I don't feel that the church is ready to expand the building. I don't feel that. I'm talking about individuals. I'm not talking about being blowed up. I'm not talking about getting fat or swole. I'm talking about your spiritual man. And I felt like in prayer this morning and in worship that the Lord would have us to accept the challenge that He is not just giving this church, but He is challenging the world, His church in the world, a global church, the ecclesia, if you can want to say it that way. And I don't know if you are prepared for some of this expansion because the first thing that you have to do to expand is you have to change your mind. Anybody hear what I'm saying? It's a mind thing. I told the Lord this morning, I'm bringing my thoughts into captivity. I was aggravated this morning. And yesterday I was bringing my thoughts into captivity because the Lord will put something on you that Satan like to buffet you with it. And so I'm learning the difference. And so this morning I want to talk to you about expanding, but you got to be willing to change your mind. So, can I ask you $1,000 question in Sunday school? Are you willing to change? If you were told that you could be a millionaire by 6 o'clock in the morning, but you'd have to change your mind, would you do it? Listen, you'd be writing books by daylight. This woman saw this precious man of God, Elisha, that has come after Elijah, and Gehazi is handed down to the servant. Gehazi is a pretty powerful man because he's adjacent with the miracles. And he has heard the words that have proceeded out of the man of God's mouth. And there's nothing wrong with Gehazi speaking back into uh, 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 Elisha. I'll get out in a minute. And hearing what he has to say. There's nothing wrong with that. And there are times when my armor bearer will say things to me, and the bishop said his does the same thing, and it's very, very powerful. Very, God gives them those things, and so it's nothing wrong with Gehazi speaking back to the man of God, but he's very subject to the man of God at this particular setting here. We understand that Gehazi kind of falls by the wayside after a while because it becomes very, very selfish and very, very greedy. Somebody say greedy. So she sees this man of God. This woman is married to a farmer. Now, according to what I read, this woman is from Shunem. And Shunem is a very, very specific place because there's a lot of beautiful, beautiful people there. And according to what we read, this woman in this setting is married to a man that is a farmer, owns a lot of property, has a lot of servants. He knows everybody in the community in Shunem, outside Shunem, and all around, even around Mount Carmel, all around the areas that are adjacent there. And he's a very powerful man. But according to what I read, she may have been a little bit younger than him, which was a kind of a common thing in biblical times because men had younger ladies because they served them and even called some of them even Lord, like Sarah would call Abraham Lord, not meaning that he was God, but that he is. Now, watch this now. When you look at the word Lord, it means that one having authority and one having power. And so she understood her position with Abraham. And so these women would say these things to these men. They wouldn't worship them. The men would reverence them. The men would take care of them. And so she has a conversation with the man of God. I read it to you because when he would pass by, he would there was something about his countenance that drew her to him. I don't know if it was because she was raised in Shunem and she was raised by a good dad and a good mother and was surrounded by a good family. The history doesn't tell us that, but we do understand that she has a relationship with the man of God. And so when she knew that he would pass by, or even when she would just cook lunch or whatever or dinner, she would invite him and Gehazi in, whether the husband was in the farm or on the field or in the barn or on a plowing a mule or whatever, telling servants what to do. We understand that she would feed him because she even said to her husband, watch this now, I have perceived that this is watch what she said, a holy man of God. So there was something about his countenance that drew her to him. And so she recognized that from where he was coming from, she didn't know all the time. But when he came through the little pathway that was a dirt pathway back by their home, he was on their property, passing all of their property and all of their servants working in the field and in the barns and all the animals. But there was something about She didn't know exactly where he was going. She didn't know where he was coming from, and she didn't know where he was going. Are y'all with me today? Until we realize that the conversation between the two has to become very, very clear, that she now knows after many times of passing through that she stops there and he eats there, Gehazi eats there, they get their stuff and they leave to go to Mount Carmel. That's exactly where he lives. He has a house there. He lives there. He dwells there. Now the distance from Shunem and from where the man of God lives is quite a distance. Okay, it's not like 30 miles, but it's somewhere around 3 to 5 miles, somewhere in that area. It's a flat piece of property. You can see people coming from miles. So now you have this woman that is being moved by God. Okay, we can say it was an emotion. We can say that her mind was changing. We can say that she was engaging with them. Some people might be that is carnal will say, well, maybe she just had something for the man of God. That is not scripture. Don't even let that cross your mind. But I can tell you that because of his anointing, and even Gehazi's anointing, because he was a servant to the man of God, she was drawn to them. So one day they come through and they eat and they get their stuff, they load back up, and they're going back to where they're coming from. Y'all with me today? Okay, hold on to me because we're going to talk about the expansion. Now, she goes to her husband and says, listen, I have perceived that this is a holy man of God, and I want to see if it's okay with you if I can get the money to build a room on side of our house. Just lean it toward the wall, put a stool in there, a candle, put a bed in there, put a chair, whatever, and I want to take care of the man of God. Well, somewhere there has to be a relationship between the woman and her husband and the man of God and Gehazi, because even the husband said that's okay. So even this gentleman knew something about respect, okay, and reverencing a man of God. He's just different. He wears a mantle that comes from Elijah. He's just a different guy. The way he talks, he doesn't say much. He doesn't engage in many conversations. He does mostly prophesying. So here we go. So she builds them a room and puts everything in there. So when he comes back through, she says, okay, sir, this is your room. And when you're passing through and you don't think that you can make it home, stop by, eat dinner, eat lunch, whatever. We'll feed you. And you and Gehazi can stay right here. Are y'all still with me this morning? Okay, so we're going to get to the meat of this in just a second. Okay, hold on to me. So he does just that. I don't know how many times he lays his head in that bed and rests that night, get up the next day, and he leaves with Gehazi. I don't know how many times they did that before he realizes that this woman has been good to him. And so he is saying, okay, Gehazi, she is making provision for us. We don't have to worry about eating when we come in this direction. We don't have to worry about renting a hotel, if you will, because we have a house here. And so he says to Gehazi, go ask the woman to come hither. So he goes and gets her. She doesn't even come in the room. She stands at the door. The man of God is laying on the bed that she has prepared, speaks not to her, but speaks unto Gehazi. Gehazi hears the words from the preacher that he has heard his voice many, many, many times in miracles and powers and authority. And he says, ask the woman, what does she need? Should we go to the king and speak? Should we go to the king is there something that she needs that maybe only the king can give her? And so Gehazi turns around and says to her, could we go to the king and speak for you? And she says these words, no, sir, I don't need anything. Watch this now, because I dwell among my own people. I don't need anything. I have a husband, I have a farm, I have food, I have a house, and I got the man of God staying in my house. So no, I don't really need anything. Are you with me today? Okay, so here we go. So she leaves the room. She goes back to her house. So Gehazi is going to have a conversation with one of the greatest men of God that is written in the Bible, which is Elisha. And Elisha says, well, then what can be done to this woman, seeing that she's been good to us? And Gehazi knows something about this woman that Elisha has never picked up. It's amazing that the armor bearer and the servant has picked something up that she needs and that she's always desired, maybe in conversation, maybe in revelation in the spirit, maybe just passing by, maybe he's been in her home, maybe they set the table with her husband, okay, and drink some water and eat bread. How did he know that this woman has never had a child? You got it? And the man of God has never perceived that, because he walks on another dimension and another realm. That's not what God was waiting to show him. But God had a plan. So he says, call her back. Okay? She walks back to the door. Now watch this. The man of God doesn't talk to Gehazi. The man of God speaks right to her and says, by this time, at the time of life, you are going to bear a son. She says to him, please, sir, don't say that to me, for my husband is old, and there's no way we can have a kid. He says to her, you're going to embrace a son. She walks away. There's no more conversation. And in just a little while, something begins to happen. Y'all ready for this? It's the expansion. Okay? Something happens to her that does not happen to her husband. When the moment she recognizes, and I want this church to hear this, that she has been intimate with her old husband, that something changed in her body. And when they came together and God planted the seed, and she recognized, y'all hold on to me, that something was different in the body. Never ever has she ever experienced what she's about to experience. She probably has girlfriends that's had children. She's probably even fed or embraced other girlfriends and ladies' babies. She understands how to clean a child pretty much. She's dealt with everybody else's babies, but she's never had her own. And beyond that, she has never experienced what she is about to experience like her girlfriends has. They can tell her all day long. Outsiders can come in here and say what they want to say, but we will never understand the experience of expansion spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, if we don't have a changed mind and have the experience ourselves. You can hear the testimonies, but until we have that experience, we'll never understand it. We can visualize when they tell us their testimonies and their stories, but we have never ever entered into that realm because we've never experienced that. And then when we begin to experience it, so my question is, at what point did she recognize that she was pregnant, and how many days did it take her, wondering in the back of her head, the voice of Elisha saying to her, you're going to embrace a son? How many times did Satan jump on her shoulder and say to her, he didn't tell you the truth, you're not worthy to have a child, and you'll never expand, so there's no reason, here we go, to change your mind. Stay like you are. Keep your mind in prison. And the problem with a lot of people in church that's in prison is that we hold our own key to our prison in our pocket. That's the truth. So what point does she recognize that her body is going to change? She's never, ever had a stretch mark. She's never, ever expanded. The things that she used to do, she's got to realize that if I'm pregnant, I can't do those things anymore. Yeah. I don't know why the Lord is leading us this way, but it don't matter. I wonder what her husband said when she walked up to him and said, I've done a pregnancy test and it's positive. Now, I don't think they had tests back then, but what if? They had ways of figuring out. Their body began to change. Their taste buds changed. The body begins to expand. At what point do you recognize that she goes to her husband and says, there's something different about, I'm thinking different. I'm feeling different. My emotions are different. My cravings are different. Something is different in my mind. And I feel like telling you this, is that if we're going to expand spiritually, we've got to change our mind. We got to have a change of mind. Our cravings is going to have to become different. Our vision is going to have to become different. Come on, our want tos is going to have to become different. Our desires is going to have to be different. We have to make a change of mind in order to expand, because some of us are in prison in this room right now, and those that are watching live, you're in prison, but you're the only one that has the key to your prison door. And I am declaring this morning that we're going to unlock that prison. I'm going to preach it anyway. You know why people change? They change their mind first. You want to lose weight? Change your mind. You want to gain weight? Change your mind. You want to be blessed? Change your mind. Here we go. You want to be cursed? Change your mind. You want to stay the way you are? Don't never change your mind. Stay in prison. And this woman, at what point did she look at her husband in the eye and grab him by his shirt or his suspenders and say, I am pregnant with your child? And I'm going to ask you $1 million question, and you don't have to respond. But how many in this room has been prayed up enough? And I thought about this morning on the pulpit. How many in this room, especially my leadership, that has taken time every day to seek the will of God for your life and your position in this church, in this community? Because I'm telling you right now, it comes with a change of heart and a change of mind. This is your spiritual heart. And how many is prepared to change your mind? And here's the thing, here's $1 million question. How many in this room has took the time to change your mind and get a hold of God and win one soul in 2025? Maybe I need to take a seat. Maybe I need you to walk away. So Brother Pullins, are you just telling us something that you're emotional about? No, I'm not emotional. I'm dramatic when it comes to church and souls. I'm telling you the heartbeat of the Holy Ghost. I know what he said in that office about 8:15 this morning. So how many's won somebody to God and they're still connected? Well, let's move on, because you're gonna get estranged on me if I'm not careful. Here we go. Y'all ready? Are you willing to change your mind? And are you willing to allow God to expand and stretch you? Never has she ever carried any child in her womb. At her age, her womb and her body is just like in shock. But something that I noticed this morning is that Elisha didn't tell Gehazi to give her a word. And when I realized this morning, when I leaned my head back on that chair, I went, yes, sir. And this is what happens. He talks to her directly. And listen to me carefully. She wanted to shoot it down in the beginning, because she didn't even believe it herself. And when we hear it preached and we hear it taught, do we really take it to heart, and do we really believe it? Or do we allow the bird to come by and pick that seed up off the ground and take it somewhere else, and you go get in your car and go home, and I get in my truck and go home, and we don't believe nothing the preacher even said? And so we live defeated lives. And can I say this in the Holy Ghost today? And I know I'm pretty straight this morning, but I want to say something to you. Yes, we are living below our privileges. We are a privileged bunch of people, and we are blessed people today. And God is calling us to a higher height. No, He's not worried about giving you money, new cars, new houses, and land and count. He's worried about expanding our church and expanding our spiritual man so that He can change our mind and change our ways. And here we go, and change our direction and do the biggest jailbreak in Grant County, and that's break us out of jail and prison today. So, are you willing to have the stretch marks for somebody else to be birthed in your life? Are you willing to put on a little bit of weight and lose your figure and your identity and your image so that you could win and bring something to pass? Watch what Elisha did. He didn't tell Gehazi, I'm going to go back here for a second. He gave her, and this is what I recognized when I was on the pulpit this morning also in prayer. He gave her instructions. And a prophetic word is never good if it doesn't have instructions. He didn't say, get out of my hair, something go happen in about 9 months. He said what was going to happen. Am I talking to anybody in this room? I know you Chinese are sitting on the table. But are you willing to go, I don't feel as good as I used to, but I got something inside of me that changed my mind? Because what's inside of me, y'all better hold on to me now. What's inside of me, it's my responsibility to protect it. And here's the thing, and we need to understand this in this Bible class this morning, is that if we're ever going to see things to come into fruition, we have to understand that we have a responsibility to harness it and to protect it. We have to protect everything God is, and if it's ever going to come in full span, if it's ever going to be birthed inside of you, and everybody's going to know that something's been birthed inside of you, you've got to protect what God spoke to you. Because we are good about receiving a word in the moment, and then before we get home, it's been demolished and taken away from us. But what you got to do is change your mind. He spoke it. I'm going to believe it today. If it don't come to pass today, I'm going to believe it tomorrow. If it don't come to pass tomorrow, I'm going to believe it the next day. And I'm going to keep believing it. And I'm going to break out of this prison. And I'm going to let God challenge me. And I'm going to let God expand me, because I got a family to save. I got co-workers I need to save. I got a church family to save. I got a community to save. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? And the challenge is being given to us this morning because He wants us to change our mind, how we view things. Nothing changes in the Bible. Nothing changes in the doctrine. The message is still the same. But we have become prisoners to our own emotions. Can you imagine her waddling for the first time, asking her husband to get her up off the couch? Now he's fixing her something to eat. Now they got servants for that. Y'all hear me this morning? You hear me? So who wants to take the challenge to heart? We have to change our mind and be willing to expand. I know that, I think Brother Aaron Lawson told me that he was talking to somebody in the church, and he said that they were discussing me. I'm like, well, thanks a lot. And said, you want to follow him because he built a business and then he built a church. So he has things that you don't have and people don't have. And I'm going to make this clear. I just showed up. He done it. No, seriously, he done it. So I'm able to help other men, and I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, it's not about, I was willing to expand. I was willing to take the challenges when We didn't have but 50 square feet when we got here, or how many square feet somewhere in that earth. It's a challenge because Satan came to me in the little bitty building and said, "Why would you want to move your handful of people? It's a small city, small town setting. There's nothing here. Why would you want to move? Stay here where it's comfortable, where the rent's $450 a month. The light bill is $90 a month. Huh? See it? But when I went to my father, and I'm a young pastor, don't even know how to pastor, don't know nothing about pastoring, except I was an assistant for about 6 years, still didn't know nothing. That I was willing to say, if you could expand my business, you could expand the church. You see what I'm saying? And we marched from that building. And Miss Marlene gave us that building for $1,450. It went up $1,000 with 25 people, 30 people at the most. Some heathens come and left. But you know what I learned? Is that God put people in there to put the foundation in, that he got them out. He sent people in to build the stud walls, and he got them out. He got people coming there, and they come to church for a little while, just long enough to put the plumbing in, and the stub outs, and all the wiring, and all the and all the sheetrock, and all that, just long enough to. And then God removes the form boards and go, you did it. And when we marched from that little building to the other building, I'm going to be honest with you. I led them, and we sang, and we clapped our hands, and we praised all the way to that new building, because there was another church in Cincinnati going to give her $2,500 a month. And Miss Marlene said, I went to the realtor and told the realtor, don't do it. I want this little church to have this building. Y'all remember that? And I went, whoa. I went, whoa, that's another $1,000 a month. Lord, I didn't think you was going to do it. I thought we were just going to go through the motion. But now I see, said the blind man. And long story short, I led them. And the closest, about 4 blocks? It needed to be demolished and redone. Flooring, bathrooms had to be redone. But I walked with about 25, 30 people and kids behind me. And y'all remember we walked in there, and we walked all the way to the far back, and we had prayer meeting. It was good days. And the Holy Ghost fell in that building. You see what I'm saying? And I said, Lord, I'm accepting the challenge. We're going to do it because I can't grow anymore. Yes, sir. And God, not 1 month in 9 years while we were there, never one time did we ever have to make a phone call and go, we don't have the money. You know why? Because I feel that same way about our spiritual status this morning. If we will accept the challenge in closing, if we accept the challenge and change our mind, he'll do to us spiritually just like he did that physically. Is that amazing? Then we bought a bus. Then we bought another bus. Had VBS. Y'all remember the VBSs in there? And then all of a sudden, the newspaper clipping come out. I still got it. Sister Becky cut it out. Brother Jackson got it, or Sister Jackson got it and cut it out and give it to Sister Becky. And it was a misprint. It says, watch this now. It was confirmation. I still got it. It was in the newspaper, the whole Grant County newspaper. A little boy was in the floor with a hammer, Y'all remember that? Says Kathy, y'all remember that? And they took a picture of this little boy in the floor with a hammer. I don't know why I'm saying all this, but I'm going to say it. And they misprinted and said, while little James is at Harvest Apostolic Church at the Grant County News Building, they are remodeling. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We hadn't even moved into the building yet. And I went, yep, I see what you're saying. All Grant County knew that HAC, we hadn't even signed the paper, the contract. But everybody knew we was already moving in that building. Congratulations for the new building, preacher. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. See what I'm saying? It was a challenge. You got to be willing to open. My dad always stayed down here. But when I started my business at 19 years old, I'd done one job by myself. And it went, phew. That was because I was faithful to God, faithful to church. I was a tither. I was a giver. He was the Lord over my finances. He did all to the point, ladies and gentlemen, that I looked around and went, how? But I also got challenges where they would say, now, Mike, would you like to have the plans on this job? And I'm like, I don't have the men to do that job. But yeah, give them here. And I go sit in my house, in my breakfast room, and I roll these plans back, and I would go through these plans, and I would fine tooth comb it, and I'd call them up and give them a price, and I'd be like, well, that's more than whatever, but go ahead. We're going to go ahead and let you have the job. And that's how I built. Same way with the church. You got to have challenges. You got to be willing to deny your body, deny your style, your figure, your everything to say, Lord, whatever you want to do in me spiritually, then I will accept that challenge. You see what I'm saying? Anybody see what I'm saying? You see, God is faithful if you're willing to change your mind. I'm done. He is faithful if you're willing to expand and say, God, I accept the challenge. I'm going to change my mind. I think I'm going to just do the right thing at the right time all the time. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I just know it's going to work out. You see what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? I hope I didn't bore you this morning. So the question is it's nothing deep, but how many would like to be like the little Shunammite one? Oh, yeah. And did you know that Shunem was the woman that Abigail was from? The woman that laid with David and kept him warm while he died. Did you know that? She's a Shunammite. She come from Shunem. Very polite people. Very polite people. Giving, self-denying people. So let me close. Just a second, I'm going to get you to stand. But ladies and gentlemen, she embraced a boy, and she was a happy camper. And then Satan tried to take it away. But watch this, because she refused to change her mind. The baby died while working in the farm. She put him on the man of God's bed. But watch, you know why God raised the baby up? Was it because she was good? He raised that baby up because she was faithful to the preacher. And she refused to change her mind. Did you get it? She changed her mind to have the miracle. But when the miracle come and the miracle died, she refused to change her mind because Elisha said, is it well? And she said, it is well. I'm not changing my mind. And God raised that. And this is protection and harnessing what God has spoken to us individually. God has given some of us words individually, and it's not come to pass. Don't you blame God. You just keep believing it'll come to pass. So we got children that are backslid, and we got parents sitting on the pews this morning and the chairs this morning, and you're worried about your kids. If you'll just keep on praying, don't change your mind now. Once you get your miracle, don't you change your mind. Once you unlock that prison, don't you go back into that prison, because that's what you'll do. I didn't mean to bore you, but I felt like the Lord wanted to challenge us this morning. I'm not going to sit here and talk to you for 45 minutes to an hour and beat you over the head. Absolutely. You heard what he had to say. This is plain and clear. Accept the challenge, change your mind, get out of prison. And when God gives you and starts working on you, don't you change your mind and go back to where you were. Stay put, stay strong. And you know what happened? I walked in that building down there, and a prophetic word that was given to me and Joy many years ago, probably now it's probably been 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago. That's a long, am I that old? Who said that? I would rebuke you, but you'd probably pass out. And a man of God called me out and said, God's going to give you a son. And God gave me a son in that little building down there. And then I said, Lord, one day I walked in and I said, what do you want me to do with all these people? We can't grow no more. And y'all remember what we did? We drove nails. We hung sheetrock. We built Sunday school rooms. We had another room that was given us for free on the side that we didn't have to pay rent for. Y'all remember that? And we had two beautiful bathrooms, a beautiful foyer. I love foyers. And carpet and pews and sanction. Y'all remember all of that? And guess what? We had a kitchen too. And guess you know what happened? You know what happened? Because God saw that we were willing to change our mind and accept the challenge, he knew this building one day would be ours. And with 10,000 square feet of a building that I look around and go, God, you've been so good to me. And all I can hear is, but you was willing to stretch your mind and be stretched. It's a challenge, folks. Let's all stand today. It's a challenge. It's just a challenge. So I'm done. You can accept the challenges. You don't have to. I remember one time. I'm gonna give you this quick syllabus. I I was in the other building and I was praying so intense. It was about 4 days, and my prayer was so intense. This is no joke. It scared me on the third day. And I remember I was praying in tongues and power. And I was, because the bishop had just become our bishop, and he was training me in prayer and talking about me about different things. And I remember going to the altar that day and stood before that. Y'all remember that old wooden pulpit we built? You couldn't, that thing would, you could put an elephant on top of it, it wouldn't break. And y'all remember how the front was set up. And all of a sudden it was dark. And I remember laying on my face. I fell on my face and was praying. And I was in such depth. I've never been there before. And I've never been there since. That it was almost as if God walked in there and turned his face from me. And this emptiness and this loneliness and this, I had been deserted. I had been rejected. Y'all hear me? And I felt like God didn't love me. And I felt like that God was mad at me. It was almost as if he had walked in and turned his face from me, as if he was mad at me. And I remember, I'll never forget it, when that feeling of just being lost hit me. I started, Sister Walton, screaming with everything, hoping that the Chamber of Commerce wouldn't hear me upstairs and nobody else was in the church. Screaming, God, don't turn your face from me. Why do I feel this way? And that went on for probably about 3 minutes. And then I felt this, I heard this small, still voice that said, I'm just preparing you. This is how backsliders and lost people feel. And I'm telling you, I will never forget that feeling. And that's why I have passion and compassion with backsliders. Can I take it further? When other preachers says your children's not worth it, bring them here. I know what they feel like. I've got kids that's backslid right now that was raised in this church. I don't shun them. I love them. I show them passion because it might be just one word that I could show them or speak to them that would change their whole direction. When others will say it's a lost cause, no, it's not. Where's Sister Rhoda at? Did she get up and leave? But I'm telling you right now, you that have kids that's not in church, you're looking at a man that has wept hours for your children. That's why I don't worry about them. You know why I don't worry about them? Because I've done give them to him. They're in the best hands. And I have what, and when that feeding, he's like he consumed me right after that. And I have never forgotten it. So I called the bishop. And I said, Bishop, why did I feel like that? I said, I know why I felt like it, but why would he do me that way? And what he said, he's just preparing. Because there's going to be backsliders that only you can feel their soul. And I do. I do. So the next day I prayed. And I was so in depth in the spirit that it was almost like I walked through one door and I walked through the second door. And in the spirit, I know some of you think I'm crazy. I was trying to push that third door to go behind that third door, and I couldn't do it. I could not. I can't explain it to you. It angered me. I was wanting to know what was on the other side of that door. I couldn't get it. I couldn't even budge it. So I called the bishop. And I said, explain this to me. And he said, you went to the first dimension and the second dimension, but you can't go to the third one. And I said, well, then why not? You know what he said to me? Because you have too much sin in your life. You're still a sinner saved by grace. He said, I've been there one time, instantly and out, and I've never been able to get back again. He says, because we have sin attached to us. And that's a place God won't let you go. And I went, okay, I understand that. So now do you see why I do what I do? I'm not stupid. I'm not crazy. You may think I am, but I'm not crazy. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But I said it anyway. And then we came here and had prayer meeting, knowing that we was going to have to pay all that money a month. And again, as being your leader, what do? I don't want to put the people in the bondage. I don't want to drive them out. Talk to my trustees. What do? You know, all my trustees said, Pastor, whatever you say, that's what we'll do. Whatever God tells you to do, that's what we'll do. And I said, well, we might need to step into it and expand. And guess what? Unheard of. We raised $100,000 in 15 minutes. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that man that came in while I was telling you the story? Y'all remember that? And gave me that wad of money? How many remembers that? Exactly. I told them preachers Friday night about it. And Brother Seidenbaum was like, oh my God, we need to hear that. I said, it happened, son. It happened. And I said, if we purchased this building, and our note should have been astronomical, but God kept it down. We had to refi the building, looking at probably another $1,000+ on our note. Guess what? Satan, you lost it again. It came down. You know why? Because it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with us expanding, changing our mind. I hope I said something to help you. I hope I've said something to help you. These altars, you want to come, you come. Maybe you just want to come up here and say, Lord, I just stand here and say, Lord, I just want to say, I'm changing my mind. I'm just changing my mind. I'm accepting the challenge. I'm going to do better. Whatever I feel like I need to do.
Here's my heart and my mind, my body and soul. I'm coming out.
And I want to speak also while they're singing to you that's going to Meadowview. Accept the challenge.
I'm ready to
accept the challenge. Because what that man of God preached Friday night was for us.
Lord, I'm ready
it's not enough.
To serve, ready to work. I'm ready to give. Lord, I'm willing to hurt. Take this broken piece of clay to be made new.